Recording. There we go.
Good last night. That was very good last night with the milk and the meat, and
Oh, excellent.
that's what I'm having for breakfast: milk and meat.
Right.
So,
Kilayim.
Kilayim, what is a seric tree? Any tree that bears no fruit. Reb Meir says all trees are seric trees except the olive tree and the fig tree. Reb Yossi says as much as are not planted throughout the whole field are seric trees. Gaps in an eris, eight amot by and somewhat more, and among none of the measurements which the Chachamim fixed in regard to a vineyard is there a little more except in the case of the aris. What constitutes gaps in the aris? An aris laid waste in the middle in the middle in which five vines were left on one side and five on the other. If there are eight amas, he may not bring seeds there. 8 amas and somewhat more, it is given its tillage space, and he may sow the rest. An iris which projects beyond the wall from the corner and stops is given its tillage space, and the rest may be sown. Rabbi Yossi says if there are not 4 amas there, then one may not bring seeds there. Okay.
Right. Fine. Mishna ches. Hakanim hayotzim min haaris. All right. So you've got a trellis,
Mm-hmm.
and it's longer than he wants it to be. Just the poles that they built it out of are just too long.
Uh-huh.
But he doesn't want to cut them because maybe sometime later he'll repurpose them and whatever. So he decides that he doesn't want to cut them. So he he uh, basically he doesn't want to cut them. Kenegdan mutar. Now but the other important part is that he has no intention of letting the vine grow onto the extra part.
Right.
Okay. So underneath that part of the trellis, it's permitted to grow vegetables because he doesn't want the vine to grow that way. And if it does grow there, then he'll cut it back. Okay. Asa an kadeshi chadash asur. However, if he put it there, of course, in order to allow the vine to grow further, then that's just like the same. That's the same as any other trellis. That if it was put there for the purpose of the vine growing under it, you're not allowed to plant vegetables underneath it. Okay, which goes back to one of our previous Mishnayos we learned. Okay. Mishnah Tes haperach hayotze min haaretz. Um, so you've got basically a new growth of a vine that extends out beyond the trellis. So you put the trellis in place, but now the vine has grown and it's looking out for somewhere else to grab onto. You know how creepers do that.
Right.
Okay. So now if you're happy with that being there, so you look at it as if there's a plumb line going down from it. Okay, connecto asur, and underneath that is not you're not allowed to plant there because that's even though it's outside the technical avodas hakerem space, but once tendrils of the grape are growing and you're not cutting them back, you're also not allowed to plant vegetables underneath it. V'chein bedalis. Dalis is a single vine
Right.
that's been grown on reeds. Okay. If it sprouts another growth, I'm not sure why this had to be brought as a separate case, because it seems. I think the difference is the one we thought, okay, maybe we're just talking about a kerem, but even if you're talking about a single vine that starts to extend in other places, you're not allowed to plant anything else underneath it. Okay. Sipka bechevel. Now, sorry, before that, hamotech zmora me'ilan le'ilan tachtea asur. So let's say he's got this grapevine and he likes the sort of wild look of the vine growing between all of his trees. So if he pulls it from tree to tree, tachtea asur, then yes, underneath it is also prohibited to plant, obviously. Sipka bechevel or begemi. If he was just trying to support it so that it would stay up, so let's say he tied a string to the end of the new growth, and the string he tied to somewhere else to hold it up so that maybe so that it should stay out of the way of passers-by, so that you can walk through without it bothering you. So tachas hasipuk mutar, then you're allowed to to plant vegetables under where the string is, assuming that the string is there just to support the vine. However, asa or kadeshi asur. But if you put the thing there so that in order to train the vine to follow it, then also that's just like an extension of a trellis. So again, it would be asur to plant anything underneath something that you have the intention of training the vine on.
So the machshava has to be, I'm just using it to hold it up. I'm not using it for other purposes.
Yeah, it's right. It's just got to be using to hold it up. If it's just to hold it up, then that's fine. You can plant under the string. But if it's the string is there to train the vine, then you can't plant under it either. Right. Now we're gonna talk about.
If you didn't use to straighten to keep it straight, then it would just eventually fall down to the ground.
Yeah, it would eventually it would go downwards. So
right.
right. So there are lots of reasons why you would want to tie it up. Like let's say people are walking underneath it.
It could go downwards and eventually reach the tree if it wasn't so far away, and then wrap itself around the tree and keep going. It's a possibility.
I'm not sure what the point is you're making.
Well, what would happen then? It would be forbidden because it went by itself and wrapped itself around the tree and then continued growing to the next tree, let's say.
Well, okay. All the places where it is growing and has grown, it's obviously also to plant underneath it. But if a human comes and plans to train it under something else, then also under that something else that was put there for its growth is going to be asked to plant vegetables underneath.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So now we're talking about havracha, which is come on, what's the English word for it? First word in the next Mishnah in English.
It says if wine sinks a vine into the ground by bending a branch, burying it
sinks
in the ground,
that's propagating. Propagating is the word I'm looking for.
Oh,
It wants to propagate a vine. Okay, so just in terms of the background of this is this is something that you can do with lots of different plants. We said about it with geraniums are very easy to do this with. You just break off a slip of a geranium and stick it in water and it grows, and the slip grows roots, and then you can plant it separately. Right. The same thing happens with many other plants. I don't know about most, but some plants are better at it than others. But let's say you've got a bunch of let's say you've got a grapevine and you want to help it spread, and all you've got is one vine. So what you can do is take one of the tendrils, one of the long tendrils, and bury it under the ground, and take the other end out. So basically, you take this whole vine and bury the middle of the vine under the ground, and leave it there for a little while. And what will happen is it'll actually sprout roots inside that area, and it'll become a new plant. And you can actually snip it off from the mother, and it'll carry on growing. Okay, that's called propagating.
Right.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Whiteboard's becoming. I'm finding that the whiteboard is a pretty useful little tool over here.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're going to look at this in elevation view, and over here we have. Let's just say we've got in. Well, let's start with a line over here of the ground. Okay, so here is the ground.
Okay.
Okay, and now we've got a vine over here that's growing over here. Okay, it's growing happily over here on the ground or on the trellis, whatever, however you want it. And now somebody decides that he wants to propagate it. So he takes one of the tendrils and he sinks it under the ground here, and takes it out again over here.
So we would have to. Oh, all right, I have it. No, never mind. I was going to ask something. Go ahead.
Okay. So the original one is it's got its roots stuck in the ground over here.
Right.
Okay, and now he takes a tendril and buries it under the ground over here. So the easiest way to inspect this is just you've got a single vine. So in order to plant something normally, you would how far away from it? Just for a single vine?
With a 4 on it?
No, That's for a vineyard. Single vine is 6 tfachim.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say that we've got over here a nice, comfortable 6 tfachim. Let's say and it goes from the roots, right? So let's say up to here we have. I actually wanted this to be in red just to make it. Well, no, that didn't work. Okay, so let's knock that out. Eraser, boom, and take this into red. So let's say over here is this is more than 6 tfachim. Okay, so this distance is more than 6 tfachim, so we're not concerned about how close your vegetables are to the vine itself. And he wants to plant his vegetables. So let's say he wants to plant his vegetables in the spot over here. Right? He wants to plant over there.
Okay.
More than 6 tfachim away from either end of the vines. Okay, so he's keeping fine over there. But now the Mishna is telling us that actually you've got the other problem is that you've got to look at this distance over here.
The depth.
The depth, correct. So you've got to make sure that that depth over there is more than 3 tfachim. So we'll put that in text over there. Must be more than 3 tfachim over here. Okay. This over here must be more than 3 tfachim. Okay, because if not, then that's also going to be considered kilayim. Even if he put inside it, even if what he did was he took some sort of a good. Okay, let's just say he takes a good or whatever and a dried good. So it's not a plant itself. It's not, and he tries to put some sort of little mechitza over here, and he decides that he wants to put vegetables inside there. So that is not good enough because that kind of thing is not that strong, and the plant might penetrate it, and the roots can go through it, and it'll be the same space as the okay. Silon is a tube of some kind, like a half pipe made of earthenware. Again, that's not going to be completely impermeable. The roots have a way of finding their way through these things. Okay, hivricha basela. However, if that spot over there is bedrock, or just any stone that roots can't penetrate, or also if it was metal. Even if you just got three etzbaos of soil on top of it, that's a good mechitza. That separates it from the roots underneath. Then you would be permitted to plant inside it. Okay. So have you got the picture over here?
Right.
That if there's no barrier, or if the barrier is permeable, then you've got to have at least 3 tfachim of soil on top of the vine in order to bring vegetables. I don't know why people would want to do this. I'm just thinking, like, this is like really extreme, pushing the envelope in Kilayim. Like, why do this? It just seems like a really silly thing to try to do. But anyway, but if he puts it inside something that is impenetrable, like metal or stone, then you would only need three finger breadths. Okay, last sentence. Ha'akuva shebegefen ein modrin la ela mina ikar hasheni. So the elbow of the vine. So after it's come out a little bit from the vine. So let's take us back to here. I'm going to draw again another piece over here. This is the akuva. So let's say we've got the ground over here, and you've got the vine comes out of the ground, and let's say it comes out not quite so straight, but then it straightens up like that. So that over there is called the arkuva. I'm going to draw that again. There, that is called um, arkuva.
Is that what they call the knee of the vine?
Yeah, the
Right.
knee. Okay, so that's the knee of the vine. Ein modadin la ela min ha'ikar hasheni. So what when they say so when you were measuring your distance, you're going to measure from the upright part, not from the base, because that is where it is apparent that the vine is growing from. Min
It says
ha'ikar hasheni makom she'akuva ola.
the knee of the
Okay,
vine is measured from the second root.
that's right. So the second root, it's not really a root. It's the curve upwards. If you take a look at the
Right.
parish.
Do, do,
That's really when you can't see clearly that there's a root over here. It's like if you're standing from afar and all that you can see is the upright piece.
right.
Okay. Um, whereas in Iraq, in the right? So it looks like the plant is planted over here beneath the upright piece. Okay, but if you can see the first one and it's obvious where it's coming out of, then you have to measure from the first root.
If you see it. All right.
Yeah. So if it's visually clear that the vine is coming out from the first point over here, then that's where you measure from. But if it's not so clear, like if it comes up and it goes like if the vine goes along the ground and then it pops up, so you can't clearly distinguish that the base is coming out of the ground over here, then you go from where the upright piece is, and that's where we measure the tillage space of the vine.
Why would someone want to go through all that trouble? You just seems like a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Okay,
okay.
that's
All
that's
right.
that.
Okay. Dalit Aleph. The Karachat in a vineyard. Beit Shammai says 24 amos, and Beit Hill says 16 amos. The Machol of a vineyard, Beit Shammai says 16 amos, and Beit Hill says 12 amos. What is a Karachat of a vineyard? A vineyard that has become bare in the middle. If it is less than 16 amos, one may not sow seeds there, but if it's 16 cubits or is given a tillage space, and one may sow the rest. When they say 16 amas, all right, so we counted down the field and we come to 16 amas. Now we have to plant, we can plant seeds there, but you can't go backwards. You can't go from the 16 backwards. It has to be from the 16
I don't
forward.
I don't understand what you mean.
I'm probably like a stupid question, but if you have a field, and if it's more than 16 amas, you can till the space and sow rest. You can put seeds down there. Correct?
So if this is the space in the middle of the vineyard,
In
that's
the middle of the vineyard, right?
so from the 16 amas you have to leave 4 amas on either side, and then the 8 amas square in the middle you can sow.
So all the way going down the field, not going toward the vines, going the other way.
The whole
The
square.
whole square. Okay. All right. Um, okay. What is a machol of a vineyard? Between the vineyard and the fence. If there are not 12 amas there, he may not bring seeds there. If there were 12 amas, he is given a tillage space, and he may sow the rest.
Rabbi Yehuda.
Okay. Rabbi Yehuda says this is merely a fencer of the vineyard. And what is the machol of the vineyard? Between two vineyards. What is a fence? That which is 10 tefachim high, and a ditch, that which is 10 tefachim deep and 4 wide.
Okay.
Okay.
Haya Zayin Ches.
If a person consecrates his vineyard before the oliot were recognizable, the oliot do not belong to the poor. After the oliot is in it were recognizable, the oliot belonged to the poor. Rabbi Yossi says they give the profit of growth to the temple treasury, which is shicha, in the aras. Whatever he cannot reach when extending his hand in the royal rugliot, after he passed it. From when is everyone permitted to take lechet? After the namoshat has gone. In the case of peret and oliot, after the poor have gone in the vineyard and have come. And in the case of olives, after the second rain has fallen. Rabbi Yehuda said, but if there are not some who harvest their olives only after the second rain has fallen, but are there not some who have but are there not some who harvest their olives only after the second rain has fallen? Rather, after the poor man goes out and does not bring back is his worth. They are trusted concerning Leket, Shikha, and Peah in their season, and concerning Misa and Ani during its entire year. And the son of a Levite is always trusted, and they are trusted only concerning things that people are accustomed to give them.
Right, so when they're saying they're trusted, we're talking about Ami Haaretz here.
The Amaretz, right?
Right, Ami Haaretz is trusted to say that this is from Matanas La'aniyim, and therefore you don't have to worry about Truma, Maaser, Demai, all those kinds of things,
Right.
because it's already Pater.
Okay.
Okay. So the big chiddush, of course, there is that the Am Haaretz, we wouldn't believe him if he told us, yeah, it's Chayiv in Masters, but I took Master, don't worry. We wouldn't believe him.
Okay.
But if he says no, this is Master Ani, I say, oh, okay, I believe you.
Regarding two pools of which one is tahor and one is tameh, that which perspires closer to the tameh pool, its perspiration is tameh. But that which perspires closer to the tahor pool, its perspiration is tahor. That which is equidistant between the two pools, its perspiration is tameh. Regarding a piece of tameh iron that one mixed with a piece of tahor iron, if the greater part of the mixture is from the tameh iron, it is tameh. But if the greater part of the mixture is from the tahor iron, it's tahor. If it consists half of tameh and half of tahor, it is tameh. Regarding chamber pots into which both Jews and non-Jews urinate, if the greater part of the urine in the pot consists of a tameh urine, the mixture is tameh. But if the greater part consists of the tahor urine, the mixture is tahor. If the mixture consists half of the tameh and half of the tahor, it is tameh. Regarding wastewater in which rainwater fell, if the greater part of the mixture is from tameh water, the mixture is tameh. But if the greater part is from tahor water, the mixture is tahor. As the mixture consists half of tameh and half of tahor, the mixture is tameh. But when is this? When the wastewater preceded the rainwater. But if the rainwater preceded the wastewater, even only a minute amount, the mixture is tameh. Regarding one who tars his roof and washes his garment and rain fell on them, if the greater part of the mixture is from the tameh water, the mixture is tameh. If the greater part is from tahor water, the water is tahor. If the mixture is half from the tameh and half from the tahor water, the mixture is tameh. And Yehuda says if they increase their dripping. And in the case of a city in which both Jews and non-Jews reside, and which contains a public bathhouse which operates on Shabbos, if a majority of the population are non-Jews, one may bathe in the baths immediately after Shabbos. But if the majority of the population are Jews, one must wait an amount of time sufficient to heat the hot water. If the population is equally divided, one must wait an hour, sufficient amount of time to heat the hot water. Rabbi Yehuda says in the case of a small pool, it is important. If an important official is living in the city, one may bathe in it immediately after Shabbos.
So then we can say that the people who heated it for the Chashav Goy, not for the majority of the Jews who live in the city. Okay. Kilayim Yud Zayin Tesvav.
If one makes a receptacle in any case, it is tameh. If one makes a bed on a seat, in any case, it's tameh. If one makes a purse from an untreated hide or from papyrus, it is tameh. A pomegranate, an acorn, and a walnut that children hollowed out to measure sand in them, or that they fixed to be the pan of a scale, is tameh, for they have an act, but they do not have an intent. The beam of a balance scale and the level that have a receptacle for holding metal, a bicycle pole has a receptacle for holding money, and a porpoise cane has a receptacle for holding water, a sink that is a receptacle for holding a mezuzah and pearls. These are tameh. Regarding the law of all these utensils, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, "Woe to me if I said it, and woe to me if I do not say it."
Oh, right, because what's he's caught in a bind over here. Because if he teaches them these things as teaching people how to be tricksters, but on the other hand, if you don't teach these people these things, then they will be the victim of tricksters.
Right. Okay. Yud Zayin. The base of smith is tameh, but that of the blacksmith is tahor. A sharpening board that is receptacle for holding oil is tameh, but a sharpening board that does not have a receptacle is tahor. A ledger that has a receptacle for holding wax is tameh, but the ledger that does not have a receptacle is tahor. Regarding a straw mat or a straw tube, Rabbi Akiva rules it tameh and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri rules it tahor. Rabbi Shimon says I have the same applies to colocint, colocint. A mat of reeds or of sedge is tahor. A reed tube that was cut for the purpose of being used as a receptacle is tahor until it removes all other pink. Okay.
The pith. It removes the pith. Yeah. Okay.
Sanhedrin. Okay, Zion. These are those who are saved at the cost of their lives. One who pursues another to kill him, or pursues a male or a betrothed Na'ara. However, one who pursues a beast and one who desecrates Shabbos and one who engages in idolatry are not saved at the cost of their lives. These are the ones who are burned, one who cohabitates with a woman and her daughter, and the daughter of a Kohen who commits adultery. Included in the category of a woman and her daughter are his daughter's daughter, and his son's daughter, his wife's daughter, her wife's daughter, and her son's daughter, his mother-in-law's mother, and his father-in-law's mother. These are the ones who are beheaded, a murderer and the inhabitants of an apostate town. If a murderer struck another with a stone or iron, he is held down in the water or fire so that he cannot escape, and he died, he is liable. If he pushed him into the water or into the fire and he was able to escape, but he died, he is exempt. If he incited a dog or snake against him, he is exempt. He is exempt. But if he caused the snake to bite him, Yehuda considers him liable. But the Chachamim exempt him. If one struck another with whether with a stone or with his fist, and they predicted that he would die, but his condition improved, subsequently he deteriorated again and died, he is liable. Red Nakama says he is exempt because there is an indication to the effect. Okay, I think
One
that's
more.
it.
One more.
One who aimed to kill an animal that killed a human, and one who aimed to kill a Gentile but killed a Jew, or one who aimed to kill a premature baby but killed a viable one is exempt. If he aimed to strike him on his loins and the force of the blow was not sufficient to kill but he struck his chest where his force was sufficient to kill and died, he's exempt. Um, if he aimed to strike him on the chest and the blow contained sufficient force to kill out that spot, he but it struck his loins where his force was insufficient to kill and he died, he's exempt. If he aimed to strike an adult and the force was not sufficient to kill an adult, but he struck a child whom was sufficient to kill and he died, he's exempt. If he aimed to kill a child and the force was sufficient to kill a child, but he struck an adult whom it was not sufficient to kill and he died, he's exempt. However, if he aimed to strike him on his loins and the force was sufficient to kill him at that spot, but he struck his chest and he died, he's liable. If he struck his chest and died, he's liable. If he struck
Yes.
right, there must
Because
be
if the force is enough to kill a person by striking him on his waist, then for sure it's going to be that force is going to be lethal on the chest.
but if but if he but if he struck his chest and died, he is liable. He struck his chest and died, he is liable. But if he aimed to strike an adult and the force was sufficient to kill an adult, but he struck a child and he died, he's liable. If
That makes the case a bit clearer. That if it's got enough force to kill an adult, and he was aiming to kill the adult, and instead he killed a child.
that's right.
Okay, he's liable. He had lethal force inside there.
Um, Reb Shimon says even if he aimed to kill this one and he killed that one, is exempt. Okay.
And the halacha actually does follow Rabbi Shimon. So everything
Yeah.
that we learned in the rest of that Mishnah, that if he was aiming to kill the adult and instead he killed the child, he actually is exempt as per Rabbi Shimon.
Strange.
Because it was because he had to have kavanah for that particular person.
He still killed him though.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't a good thing, but nonetheless, you can't execute him for that. Okay.
Okay.
Sukkah, hey, Aleph.
The flute is played 5 or 6 days, which is the flute of the base Hashoeva, which overrides in neither Shabbos or festival. They said, whoever did not see the rejoicing of the base Shueva never saw rejoicing in his lifetime. At the conclusion of the first festival day of Sukkot, they ascended into the women's court, where they made a great improvement. There were golden candelabras there with four golden bowls atop, and four ladders for each candelabra, and four youths from among the young priests holding pitchers of oil containing 120 log, for they poured oil over each bowl. From the worn out bowls of the kalim, is it possible they made is it and if they from the four worn out trousers of the Kohanim and their belts they made wicks and they would kindle them. There was not a courtyard in Jerusalem now that was not illuminated by the light of the base Shueva. Devout men and men of good
That's it.
deeds.
We just
Ready?
yeah, that's it. Three Mishnahs done. We're done.
Oh, I'm so